Hey everyone, I'm Adam Cesare. It's another episode of Project Black T-Shirt. I've been absent for almost the entirety of February, almost missed the entirety of Women in Horror Month, but today we're looking to rectify that because I'm going to talk about XX, a new anthology film, just hit VOD, and I think it's in some theaters somewhere. I don't think it's playing in Philly because I would have went and saw it on the big screen. But I rented it. It's Jovanka Vuckovic, Karyn Kusama, Annie Clark, and Roxanne Benjamin. Four female directors, four short films. A movie that feels a little bit less like kind of an anthology film like VHS or the VHS series or Southbound or Tales from Halloween. A little less of a themed anthology, a little bit more of sitting, watching almost for unrelated shorts, like you kind of would maybe at a film festival. This movie has a very film festival vibe to it, and that's something that I don't feel like we get a lot of, because there are short films being made every day. There are short films being made by female directors every day, but the problem comes with access, and I think if you package them all together, like this film does, you get this great kind of film festival feel without actually having to, say, live in a big city or travel near a film festival, something like the Boston Underground Film Festival or various short film segments that get put on, kind of like my friend Matt Garrett used to do out here in Philly. That's what this movie has, and kind of for better or for worse, because I think there are some segments that are really going to resonate with people, and there are some segments that may not. And the great thing about a movie like this is there are probably different segments for different people. So I'm going to give a quick rundown of all four short films. We're going to talk about those, and then at the end, like I always do, I'm going to give you guys a book recommendation. So the first segment in this women-centric horror anthology is a little bit of an odd choice, I think, because it chooses to adapt one of Jack Ketchum's, obviously a dude, best-known short stories. And Jack Ketchum is a writer who is one of his constant themes and motifs is the brutality of the world towards women. And that isn't really a theme, at least in the short story, of The Box. And The Box is Jovanka Vuccovic's segment here. She adapts the short story to a screenplay herself. As much as I enjoy the original Jack Ketchum story, and as much as I actually enjoy this this segment on its own as a short film, I'm not quite sold on it, especially if for audiences familiar with the story, I'm not quite sold on it as the movie that opens up this movie, because it has a very deliberate pace. It's a real downer if you've read the story, and if you've read the story, you kind of you know the ending, and the ending is kind of like it's been like maybe 10 years almost since I've read The Box, but the one thing I remember about it very, very well is the ending. And I think watching this film, and your mileage is going to vary, because it's a very beautifully put together film, a very somber film, a very kind of meditative, very, very accurate adaptation of the book. Probably the best Ketchum adaptation, I would say, beside Lucky McKee's The Woman. I think that's probably my favorite filmed Jack Ketchum adaptation, and this is probably a close second, along with something like Red, because I think Brian Cox really carries that movie. The Box, for me, the problem was, okay, I know where this is going, and then to kind of make the story more visual, because it's not an inherently visual short story, at least I don't think, but to make the story more visual, there's like this dream sequence that gets added, which I kind of took as 3/4 of the way through the movie, you get this dream sequence, and I was like, are they just going to change the ending? Is that going to be how this resolves? And thankfully it doesn't. It keeps the story's original very dour ending, but they do. Vuckovic did toss in this very kind of sensationalistic, very cool image that I'm not quite sure. And again, I don't think this is in the original short story. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 10 years of my addled brain. But I think adding that that cool image maybe robs the story of a little bit of its power. but again, a very, very good adaptation of that story. Something I very much enjoyed. Then we move into Annie Clark, also known as St. Vincent, the musical act St. Vincent. This is her directorial debut, a film called The Birthday Party. Definitely the most openly comedic of the 4 films, and definitely the one with the brightest color palette. I liked the look of this movie the best. Kind of art directed to the 9s, has a very kind of quirky feel to it. I love the look of everything. There's some really cool slow motion. There's some really neat camera placement. The story itself is just is so simple that it's easy, especially after the box, especially after something that is so downbeat and takes its time. That this lighter story really does pull you in a 180. Again, not my favorite of the bunch, but I still really enjoyed it, and that's kind of the unifying theme of XX is most anthology films, especially most multi-director anthology films. I feel like you always read the reviews always read the same, even if the reviewer liked it. It was like, oh well, there's always that one stinker in there. And what's interesting about XX is it really doesn't have a stinker. There's no bad movie. There's no movie I didn't like. I just liked 2 of them better, 2 of them far away kind of better, and those are the last 2. Roxanne Benjamin's Don't Fall is close to my favorite one. It's 4 friends kind of taking the Hills Have Eyes trip into the desert somewhere, like Red Rock Canyon or something. You don't really know. It seems like they're going to have like some kind of hiking accident. They find petroglyphs. They find like cave paintings on the wall, the very demonic looking cave paintings. And then this is when the movie XX itself, as a larger whole, really I feel like comes alive, because then you have these great makeup effects, some really cool stunts and really cool practical effects pulled off. This is like kind of it's like you've been watching art film, like very very staid, very thinking man's horror, and then you get Evil Dead 2 kind of thrown in the middle there with Roxanne Benjamin's film, a name I wasn't initially familiar with, but when I looked at IMDb just to write everyone's names down, I saw that Roxanne Benjamin actually did one of the segments in Southbound. And Southbound, I think, next to VHS 2, out of this new crop of ABCs of Horror and all these other films, out of this new crop of anthology, multi-director anthology films, I think Southbound's probably my favorite. And her segment in Southbound is one of the best. And between this, Don't Fall, and her segment, Siren, in Southbound, I'm really at a loss. There really is no justification for why this director hasn't made a feature yet. Why someone hasn't just been like, okay, here's a bunch of money, go make a feature horror film? Because I would watch it. I would line up to watch it, because her segments really stand out in both of these films. Last but not least, we have probably the biggest director in the anthology, Karyn Kusama. Her segment is called Her Only Living Son. And to talk about Her Only Living Son in any kind of real depth, we have a mother and a son. Her son's about to turn 18. He's kind of a problem kid. He's kind of a problem kid that's very very enigmatic and very attractive to the people who meet him. She's clearly raising him somehow and hiding from his dad, who is like a Hollywood superstar. And I'm not going to say anymore because I feel like it will spoil the story. But what I found interesting about Her Only Living Son is that it feels to me, and I think this is pretty much on purpose, Karyn Kusama wrote the script, it feels to me like an unofficial sequel to a very famous film from a very problematic director. And I can't say which film because it kind of ruins the twist, if we can call it a twist, in Her Only Living Son. But what I will say is I would gladly watch Her Only Living Son, an hour added to it and it turned into a feature. Between this and The Invitation, this is, I feel like, and this is part of that kind of Karyn Kusama comeback. Like, both of these films are a big not comeback, because she's been directing TV and things like that. But I just don't understand why we don't have more bigger films from Karyn Kusama, director of Jennifer's Body and Girl Fight and Aeon Flux. Her movies are really good, and The Invitation, you stack The Invitation up next to this kind of 20-25 minute short film, and they're the work of a very confident filmmaker who's working with similar themes in both. I loved it, and I think the back two films in this short film series, I think it's like $7 to rent. XX. You should 100% go and spend your money on this, because this is the kind of thing, because it's such a loose, unthemed anthology, I feel like it's the kind of thing they should really be doing, every year, every 2 years, like they did with the VHS films, which, maybe they went off the rails there in 3, but I think this idea of having a platform for female directors and within the horror industry is very, very vital and very, very needed. And as far as like a kind of great experiment, this movie's a complete success, because it's 80 minutes and it flies by. I would have liked almost another segment. In my research for making this video, I saw that Mary Harron and Jennifer Lynch were also supposed to do short films for this anthology, and as someone who really, really likes Jennifer Lynch, I really would have liked to see her kind of knock it out of the park here. But maybe in XX2 or XX. I don't know how they would do the naming convention. They got to call the Fast and the Furious people on that one. But all right, those are my thoughts on XX. This week's book recommendation is The Terminal by Amber Fallon. Yeah, I know. I'm filming my Kindle screen and it's not the best thing, but The Terminal by Amber Fallon. Fallon's book is Die Hard 2, so it's an assault on an airport plus space barbarians. It is not your quiet horror. It is your gory, in-your-face action sci-fi horror. It's a quick little novella. Reads like lightning. I'm pretty sure I either read it in 1 or 2 sittings. Very, very much marks like the arrival of a real talent. I think it's her first book, and I think we're gonna look forward to years and years of reading her, because she's very good here. She's very fun here, and she definitely doesn't take a kind of one-note approach to horror. Before we go, I have one more thing to talk to you about. I'm Adam Cesare. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, you should know that I'm a horror author and I write books. The reason it's been almost a month since my last video is because I've been really, really busy getting re-releases of a couple of my novels set. They've been released through Black T-shirt books, and they have these beautiful new covers. This one's called The Summer Job. It's a satanic panic thriller, rural horror, Wicker Man meets Clueless, maybe? I don't know. I just made that up on the spot. This one is Video Night. I love these new covers by an artist named Frederick Richardson. My buddy Scott Cole did the layout. He did a beautiful job. These are all available in ebook and paperback, clearly because I'm holding the paperbacks. Please, if you like the show, if you want to check my stuff out, go check them out. On my website, I offer a free ebook that has a couple previews in it and some short stories. So try before you buy. I'm not illiterate, I don't think. This is Zero Lives Remaining. It's a haunted house story, only the house has been swapped out for a retro video arcade. One of my favorite things I've written, but brand new edition through Black T-shirt books. Please check it out. I'm Adam Cesare. This has been Project Black T-shirt. I guess I will see you next week, hopefully. And I'll talk about a book and a movie, and I'll do my normal shtick that I usually do. Subscribe, hit the like button, comment, tell me your favorite horror film by a female director. Tell me your favorite film by a female director in general. I'd like to hear it. I'd like to have a discussion, an argument with you. Please, have a nice night. Goodbye.